Welcome to Inspire Me with Jay. This is a podcast to inspire, uplift, show forth the love of God, and help usher in the spiritual awakening. Please like, subscribe to this channel, and share everywhere. Thank you. Welcome to Inspire Me with Jay. I'm your host, Jay Spillers, author and teacher, and I have Yolanda on. Yolanda, why don't you
Yeah.
introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Yolanda Crump. I am located in Mississippi. I'm actually an enroll agent, previous IRS agent with 20 years experience. I own my own tax firm. I'm also the owner and brand ambassador for Bougie Wow. And thank you so much for having me today.
Thanks. Why don't you tell about your experience? Because you had a spiritually transformative experience that changed your life, didn't you?
Yes. You're looking at a teenage mom, high school dropout. By the age I was 17 years old, I had two children. I was raised in the inner city Memphis environment, the poverty mindset. And it was very difficult growing up because when you're raised in that poverty mindset, um, we experience a lot of trauma. We experience a lot of trauma from our parents because our parents be uneducated. They're frustrated. A lot of us are raised by single parents who just do not have the resources to provide a healthy home from a mental aspect. So by the time a lot of us become teenagers, we're angry because, as a result of the abuse, as a result of what we hear and how we're being spoken to. We don't get that nurturing that we have. We don't get that nurturing from, that parent figure because they're just trying to survive. They're trying to figure it out. They're frustrated with life. And um that experience left me in a dark place. And let me just be honest, for years, I didn't even realize that I was living a dysfunctional life. I didn't even realize that I didn't even know what good was. So I went out in the world just trying to survive myself, repeating the cycle of the conditioning of my mind. Well, I owe it all to God. I owe it all to God because I pursued my education. I went out in the world and I learned better and I did better. And meeting different people, it helped me to open my mind and realize I had to do some work to heal from the childhood trauma. And so I started asking God, like, God, why did I go through this? Like I'm divorced, went through a bad marriage. So I asked God, I'm like, why did I go through this? Why did I go through this? And if you ask, God will reveal things to you. And I had a revelation and God showed me your childhood was dysfunctional. You didn't know anything but chaos, discord, conflict. And so I had to go on a healing journey. And it took me 2 years. It took me 2 years to, number one, you know, realize that the things that happened to me had nothing to do with me, to realize that I didn't have to live in regret. I didn't have to live in shame, that I could start at this point. And that's why the book of John changed my life, because Jesus' story and him dying on the cross is showing us that we don't have to live of the flesh and the sins that was conditioned in us. I tell this story. I said, if somebody give you 100 acres of land for free, but the land had bags of trash, mangy dogs, abandoned houses, abandoned cars, and the grass hadn't been cut in 20 years, would you take it? Would you take it?
Mm-hmm.
But what if I told you
Yeah.
the mangy dogs was fear? What if I told you the abandoned cars was insecurity? What if I told you the abandoned houses was doubt. The bags of trash may be abuse, abandonment, molestation, um, and just things of life. And then the grass that hadn't been cut is chaos, discord, conflict, irritation, aggravation, frustration. And that's what God showed me. He said, you can clean up your land. You got 100 acres, but you're not gonna clean up your land in one day. You got to take multiple days, and it takes time to clean up the land. So that's what I had to do on my spiritual journey. I had to clear up my land, and I shifted and realized that I had to die to what was conditioned in me, and I was reborn as a spiritual person. So now you're looking at a spiritual person. You're looking at a person that knows that the power lives within me, through me, as me. And I'm out here in the world sharing my life from a humble, transparent, and a vulnerable place, because as a child that was raised in a poverty environment, it get construed like, hey, why they won't go get a job? Why they won't do this? Nobody's talking about the trauma we experience. So, like I said, my shift and my spiritual awakening was God showing me that I didn't have to continue to live with the stuff that was put in me that had nothing to do with me. As a child is born innocent. And a lot of people are suffering because of the conditioning, the environment, the exposure of what was conformed in their minds, not realizing we don't have to continue to live like that, that we can be transformed by the renewing of our mind. So the illustration I was sharing with you about the 100 acres of land, that is our mind. And just like we have to clear up the land to be able to start planting new, that was the awakening that I had, to realize that the power is in me, through me, as me, to make a choice to accept Christ and live Christ-like.
What were some of the things that God showed you to help start cleaning it up, to make a difference?
That I had to let go of the past. I had to forgive. I had to forgive people for what they didn't know. I did have a lot of anger for years, being angry at my mom, not realizing I went out in the world to prove a point to her that I didn't need her, or I was going to overcome and be better for myself, not realizing I was doing things to hurt myself by being of the world and, being caught up in the rat race of life, instead of realizing what my gifts are within me and creating the life that I want, that I'm a creator, that I have the power to create the life that I want. So, the number one thing I had to do was forgive people and forgive myself. I had to forgive myself because I was dealing with like, during my healing phase, I had suicidal thoughts because I was like, man, I messed my life up, and I had to go in the Bible real deep. Like, it took me 2 years to heal. Like, I had to do celibacy for 2 years and just really get into my word. And my revelation came through studying the book of John and understanding Jesus' whole life to show us is that we're to live Christ-like. That's the reason why he died on the cross, for us to understand that we could be reborn again. So the number one thing I had to do was forgive people and forgive myself for what I didn't know, for my mistakes that I made.
Was the hardest thing probably forgiving yourself?
It was, because, the little voice in our head that nobody hears, right? That was the biggest obstacle, because you have to train it. Like, if you come to my house is filled with positive affirmations. Every picture, everything that's in my house reflects positivity. I get up every day, I go to the gym, I exercise, I read my word every day. It's a training of the mind. You have to understand that you have to train your mind. As a man thinketh, so is he. So you have to train your thoughts. You have to die to what was conditioned in you that had nothing to do with you. I realized that the things that happened to me was as a result of the conditioning. So yes. Mm-hmm.
So, how old were you when you started to really turn things around for those 2 years? How old were you when it started?
I was, I'm 46. I was 40 when I went through my divorce. I got divorced in 2019. I was married for 12 years and it was a very dysfunctional marriage. And after that in 2019, 2020 hit. So I'm going to say about 3 years ago, for I started the journey, the healing journey after my divorce when I was about 41. And um, it took me 2 years to actually be able to talk about my life without crying. Like I couldn't even talk about my life without just breaking down crying. I would be on social media telling people like, why nobody didn't tell us, why they didn't break it down like this and tell us from children that, you know, our environment can condition our minds and have us in a dark place. Our subconscious mind can be conditioned. Like I didn't even know what good was. You know, I didn't even know how to recognize good. I thought I did, but I didn't even know how to recognize good. So it the shift started happening after my divorce, and I just used to ask God all the time, why did I go through that? Why did I just used to say it all the time? And one day, you know how the projectors when we were in school, how they used to do the projectors on the wall and stuff. It was like I
Mm-hmm.
had a revelation, and it was just like I was stuck and I could just my whole life replay before my eyes. And God showed me you went through this dysfunction because you were traumatized. You didn't even know what good was. You went out in the world seeking for love. Like I went and got pregnant at 15 years old with my solution. I'm gonna go have a baby because I want somebody to love me. How dysfunctional is that?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
So
dysfunctional.
yeah, dysfunctional. Like I talk about it now because there is a whole society of people that's still living like that. And nobody's taking a stance to speak about it from a transparent place. Like they are telling, oh, you need to do this, or you need to get a job, or you need to get this. Well, my first language was Ebonics. If I didn't have anybody to help me with my homework. So if you're going to school and you're coming home and you don't have anybody to help you with your homework and you don't have anybody to recognize the gifts that's in you and you don't have anybody telling you you're beautiful and you don't have anybody giving you hugs and I mean, you're just going to see the negatives of the world. You're going to start doing things to hurt yourself because that becomes your normal. If you're being told, like I tell people, and I forgive my mom. I'm not angry at my mom or anything like that. Um, because it was just generational stuff passed down. Like, you know, when you come from a family of uneducated, frustrated individuals, the children tend to get abused. And it's a common thing that we're not speaking about or nobody's coming forward to address. I was on a plane with a guy, and he was like, you know, I live right outside of Memphis, and if you Google Memphis, it's one of the biggest cities now that's known for murder, and it's because you got a lot of children in Memphis that got abused. The crack epidemic left a lot of children broken. In the 90s, a lot of the mothers and fathers ended up getting on drugs and the children got abused. Well, those children went out having children that ended up getting addicted to pills. And we just have a society of people who are just lost, and they're hurting, and society see it as they just don't want to do anything. People don't understand the trauma. The mind is the hardest thing to reprogram. You could go to the gym today and say, I'm going to start lifting weights. The mind is just like a muscle. When you first start doing them curls, that muscle going to resist. You have to make a mental note to keep pushing past that change. And nobody's talking about how the mind is affected. Like, we deal with things as individuals that we don't like about ourselves, but we don't tell anybody. We struggle with them in silence. We all have the little voice in our head that nobody hears. A lot of us are conditioned to come out and be impressive on the outside. Like a lot of people that commit suicide, they say, but they were happy all the time. They were just bubbly. We were conditioned to mask. We were conditioned to not express ourselves. And especially in the Black community, we were not even taught to express our emotions. So you got a lot of adults now are acting and throwing temper tantrums because we don't have emotional maturity.
Have you ever wondered whether the Bible was compatible with a near-death experience? In my book, Heaven's Truth, the parallels between the Bible and the near-death experience, your faith will be strengthened while you support this channel. In Heaven's Truth, you will learn about near-death experiences and other similar experiences in the Bible. Support for the Bible contained in NDEs, a central theme that runs through both the Bible and NDEs, how the NDE brings the Bible to life for these modern times, evidence for both the Bible and the NDE, and much more. Great book. Spillers does an excellent job weaving the relationship between NDEs and the scriptures. 5 stars on Amazon, available on Amazon. Yeah, it's like a lot of comedians, you think they're happy on the outside, and but they've struggled with depression and suicidal thoughts and whatnot.
Right. And the battle of the mind, when you talk about the spiritual journey, the battle that we have, and I do a lot of studying on this, and I take a great interest in this. I actually have been reaching out to colleges this morning because I said I'm going to get my master's degree in psychology, because I do want to be that voice for people and let people to see through us. If you, regardless of where you're at economically, if you do not implement a practice in your life to train your mind, our mind will betray us.
What practice do you do to change your mind?
I start my day with water, workout, in the Word. Number one, I study all different religions. I'm not attached to any religion. I meditate. Meditate is listening to my inner self, allowing my mind to become at peace so that I could train my mind. So I do daily readings, I exercise, I meditate, and I brainwash myself to be happy. It's a practice.
How long do you meditate for?
I go out in my backyard, and I like my backyard. I have a lot of oak trees in my backyard. It's like my sacred place. And I have 7 oak trees. I go hug my trees and just like become one with the universe. That's what I discovered, that we have power. We have the power is in us. we've been so conditioned to look for God on the outside instead of realizing that it's within. See, the meditation helps you become in tune with the spirit that lies in you, that lives in you, and become at peace with it so that your actions and your thoughts are in line. Because you know in James 1:8 it says a double mind is unstable in all their ways. So meditation is important to make sure that what your thoughts are is actually what your actions reflect.
Yeah, it's like someone said, it makes you single-minded when you meditate because you've got the focus.
Yes. Your action. Like I get up and I go to the gym and people be like, how you stay so dedicated? Well, like the last 2 weeks I went on vacation. It was my birthday and I went to Miami and I had a good time. And, you know, I wasn't working out. I was getting up, going to the beach. I was jump roping. I took a jump rope with me 2 days, but then I kind of fell off. Well, once you implement new practices and new habits in your life, when you don't do it, your mind, Yolanda, you're not going to the gym because this is my practice. When I don't do my practice, guess what? The little voice in my head that nobody hear, Yolanda. So I have to be single-minded. I have to do what I know keeps me in my highest frequency. And what keeps me in my highest frequency is when I get up and I drink my water and I go to the gym. I'm 46 years old. I don't like to have heartburn. I don't like to be constipated. I don't like to be bloated. I operate in my highest frequency. So my energy is high. My mind is clear. Like working out releases happy endorphins. Like when I leave the gym, it's medicine. It's like I tell people, it took me a long time to get here. And you know, self-love. We don't talk about self-love enough. We've been conditioned to take care of other people and then seek that validation and seek that acceptance in other people rather than taking care of ourselves. Like I tell people, the same choice you got to accept Jesus is the same choice you got to accept me. But we have to put ourselves first. We have to love on ourselves because becoming a mom at 15 years old, all I knew was to take care of people. I was a people pleaser. I done competed. I done condemned. I done compared. And when I realized that, Yolanda, what you looking for is what you've been giving everybody else. Get into yourself. So I look in the mirror like, I love me. It took me a long time to get here. And loving self means, like a lot of people look at loving self as getting your nails done and getting your hair done, a cute outfit. Loving self is realizing that you got to set boundaries for self. You have to eliminate the things that create fear, doubt, and insecurity. Because fear, doubt, and insecurity is the root for chaos, discord, conflict, irritation, aggravation, frustration, jealousy, envy, and also working on becoming the best version of myself. You know, at 40, I jumped out of a plane. And that was me letting go. Like that was actually my first shift of really letting go and letting God, allowing God to manifest in me, through me, as me, because all that is God is good. I live good, feel good, do good, know good, recognize the good.
Are you looking for a devotional that will radically transform your walk with Christ and revolutionize the world at the same time? Check out my latest book, Walk as Children of the Light. This book focuses on everything you need to be fully equipped and discipled in Christ: prayer, meditation, scripture, love, gratitude, and much, much more. Available on Amazon, 5-star rating. So do you still feel like you're on the transformation right now? You still feel like there's work, you're still a work in progress?
Life is always a work in progress. Life, I'm working every day to become better because my whole objective is to become the great I am. But do I have a practice that I implement daily that allows me to live in a happy place? Yes. Because you know how somebody say, "How are you doing today?" My response is, "I'm happy." And people be like, "I never heard that response," because I made a choice to be happy. So it is understanding. See, like now I know my power. My power is understanding I got limited time. I protect my energy, and I know the power of my choice. I get to choose how I think. I get to choose that when something happened, how I'm going to respond. That I know that. I'm not reacting anymore. I act. I live intentional. I am aware. I am a creator. I create the life I want. I have gotten to the point in my life, if, like I said, if it caused me fear, doubt, and insecurity, that's even with myself. That's the reason why I go to the gym, because I look good. This is my temple. And I'm going to make sure it look good. I'm going to make sure that when I look in the mirror, that I like what I see. I'm going to make sure that if I say something, I'm going to do it, because it starts with me. If, like, I realize in life, we allow negativity in our life because we be mad at ourselves. When you love yourself, you don't tolerate nonsense. I'm back like a child. I will tell you if I don't want to be your friend no more. I speak from a humble, transparent, and a vulnerable place. I have no shame and I bear no blame. I thank God I ain't the same. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was trying to tell my son too, is that you can choose how you want to respond to things. You can choose to be calm. You can choose to see the good in things. You know, because sometimes we just feel like we're a product of circumstance or what other
Mm-hmm.
people say or do. But really, we have the power within us to choose how we want to feel, how we want to be.
Right. Right. And we have to recognize too what our Ingrams are. Like right now, I'm studying this book about Dianetics, and we have to understand what our Ingrams are. And Ingrams is nothing but triggers, right? So we have
Hmm.
to understand. A lot of times we be responding based on our experience that we've had, whether it left us traumatized and things like that. So the trauma which causes us to respond, and then we have to recognize things that are not good for us. That's just like if I eat an apple and I'm sitting here eating an apple or drinking some apple juice, and you say, "Yolanda, your eye is swelling up right here while we talking," and I'm like, "Huh?" And you say, "Yolanda, your eye is swelling up, girl. You just ate that apple and your eye is swelling up." Well, I know I can't eat that apple anymore because I'm allergic to it. It's the same way with our spirit. We got to understand that everything is not good for us. And so we have to recognize when we have to stay away from certain energies or certain people or certain things that's not good for us.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what are you doing now in your life in terms of, you said you run a tax business and do some
Yes,
other
I'm an
things?
enroll agent. I'm pretty much a consultant. I do a few tax returns or whatever, but I do a lot of tax planning and consulting other tax preparers and helping businesses with strategies and things like that. That's basically how I earn my income. And then I'm building Bougie Wow. Bougie Wow is a registered trademark. It means can't be bought, free to be. The brand was given to me from the universe. People criticize me. Some call me bougie, some call me wow, because I like nice things. I live nice. God has been good to me. Uh, and I like to have fun. So people don't understand,
Mm-hmm.
bougie is saying, oh, you think you better than the next person. No, I just like nice stuff, and I just like to be around healthy people, and I'm not going to tolerate nonsense. So no, I'm not bougie. No, I'm not wild. I just don't put me in a box. The slogan is can't be box free to be. I'm working on my second trademark, which is going to be addicted to the good. Addicted to the Good is going to be a nonprofit organization in which my purpose will be to go back in the impoverished communities and make myself transparent and speak to them from a humble, transparent, and a vulnerable place about the revelation and the traumas, and hopefully help them transform their mind to live good, feel good, do good, know good, and recognize the good. Because a lot of us coming from the poverty abusive mindset don't even know what good is. It's like we are addicted to the pain. Kirk Franklin does a song when he say, do you want to be happy, but you keep on doing the things that keep on bringing you pain? And that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us that's been traumatized do things that bring us pain, and we don't even realize we're addicted to the pain.
Mm-hmm. Where can people reach out to you if they want to get in contact with you?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, because I do have a podcast as well, Bougie Wow. You can find me in Bougie Wow, BOUGIEWILD. You can Google Bougie Wow. It's my trademark. I own this intellectual property. You can Google and find me on those platforms.
Mm-hmm. What's one final word you'd like to leave with the audience before we close out?
One word I would like to leave with individuals is understand that you have the power in you, through you, as you. I speak to you from a humble, transparent, and a vulnerable place, and I want you to know that you have the power to create the life you want. God lives in us, through us, as us. God made us in his own image. They taught us to call God he instead of teaching us the Holy Spirit lives within me. Realize that we got limited time. This energy is going to leave us one day, in the power of your choice. The same energy that's in the sun, the wind, the ocean is in you and me. The same energy that turns a seed into a tree is in you and me. Know who you are and be true to who you are. Operate in your highest frequency. Because if it bring you love, joy, peace, and laughter, that's what God is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes.
that was a good word. Well, thanks for coming on today. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me, Jay. I enjoyed talking to you.
I spent several years of my life stressed, anxious, and depressed. I needed to find something that would make my life work. For me, that was meditation. With meditation, I found the peace of mind that I was looking for. I found the happiness, and I found a way to improve every area of my life, my emotional life, my spiritual life, my relationships. I was able to discover things about myself. I can give you the tools to meditate. I will walk you through the process and hold your hand. Whether you're a beginner to meditation who's never meditated, or whether you're someone who's tried meditation and it just never seemed to work, we can make it work. Meditation is something that everyone can do, and I can show you how. Check out my course on meditation.